Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah, and today I am your solo host of the I Don't Think So podcast, where typically Emily and I decide if we think a conspiracy theory is believable or if we really don't think so. Here at the I Don't Think So podcast, we are affiliated with Flurry Sports, and we like to present our theories on your favorite place to listen to podcasts every Wednesday. If you like what you hear, definitely give us a like, a share, and follow us on our Twitter at I don't think so _EH. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, why do I get to listen to the wonderful voice of Hannah all by herself today? And that is because my co host Emily actually got to go on a lovely vacation with her family, along with the co host Jacob of the Flurry Sports podcast. And so I am going to be taking the reins and just giving you a short episode this week for your listening pleasure. We didn't want to take a week off, so I decided to just take it on myself. So, the Osmonds have decided to go on a little family vacation out to Yellowstone National Park, and I decided to kind of focus my research on that just to kind of fit with the theme and let them still feel included. One thing that I think is fun and interesting is all of the different theories that kind of surround national parks. And originally I was going to kind of lean more into the more conspiracy side of this, since this is a conspiracy podcast typically, but I thought it would be fun to actually give some information and educate people on the truth about some things going on at Yellowstone, because I think there is a lot of misconceptions and false information out there surrounding Yellowstone that's caused a lot of mass panic, especially in the last few years, and I'd love to kind of shed some light on that. So, I know a few years ago I heard this crazy theory that Yellowstone's sitting over this huge giant volcano and that it's actually overdue. And there's a good chance that it's just going to erupt and kind of kill everybody, take out large portions of the United States. So, different rumors of this have kind of come about in the last few years that have gone viral, but most recently, I was looking at this article from December in 2022, where they actually came out saying that the supervolcano that is below Yellowstone actually has more magma than they originally thought. And this kind of caused some uproar and more concern about the eruption of Yellowstone. So I did some research and I didn't really know a lot about the volcano underneath Yellowstone prior to this. But as I've continued to research, what I've learned is that Yellowstone is actually not quite due or overdue for an eruption. Although the prediction of when volcanoes erupt is not always necessarily predictable, especially in this case, seeing as the volcano underneath Yellowstone has only erupted 3 times in the last almost 2.1 million years. And so it's really hard to kind of take an average and predict when exactly it should erupt or be past due erupting. So the last 3 eruptions happened 2.08 million years ago, 1.3 million years ago, and 0.631 million years ago, so a little over a half a million years ago, which actually brings the average between eruptions about 725,000 years between eruptions, although since there's only 3 data points, it's kind of hard to get an accurate average. But if we were following these metrics, that would give us about 100,000 years, which is a little bit enlightening and um, optimistic for at least our future generations. But that doesn't necessarily mean that that's how it's going to follow, especially because a lot of these predictions are just made on the amount of lava as well as different predictions of friction and things like that below the surface. So, here in Wisconsin in the Midwest, there are not any active volcanoes that I know of, and I didn't really know a lot about the eruption of volcanoes. But from what I'm understanding, a lot of this comes from the friction causing a critical melt fraction, which ends up causing the magma to create pressure and then eventually erupt through the surface. Now, this most recent um, explosion from Yellowstone actually created the Yellowstone caldera, which is this huge cavern that is about 70 kilometers across. And beneath this is where the granite granitic magma actually is deep below the surface. And when earthquakes happen on either side, this causes this friction to create pressure and then eventually bursting through the surface. So, Yellowstone does have hot spots in the upper mantle that magma can come up through, but again, not probably in the um, near ahead future, I guess you could say, which is good for us to know. And what I thought was really interesting is as I've seen TikToks and other viral takes on this, like all things, people look at these huge headlines and expect mass panic. So as I continued to look at things, there was an article about how the US is going to be having to send people over as refugees to other countries and making everything very political. And I just want people to be very much aware of how this isn't something to be concerned of, which is good to know, knowing that the Osmonds are out there right now. One benefit might be that they might get a little warm as it's continuing to heat up, but nothing too concerning for the near future for us. So, if you are worried, take that anxiety off your chest. This is usually the part where I get to let Emily respond. So, I think I just like to take her opinion from here of what I think she would say. And I do feel like I am qualified to make an assumption on her opinion, seeing as I am her best friend. I have known her since her birth. We are only 6 months apart, and we share half birthdays, which is kind of fun. I think she would say that she's relieved because we're both very anxious people, and we might not have known that we had to be anxious about Yellowstone erupting. That's something I usually put on the burner on my stove each day of like something to worry about. But hearing it, it's a little concerning. You think, should I take some time to worry about it? And now knowing that we've got 100,000 years approximately, we're good. And that's very relaxing going into the summer. It definitely takes a load off of us. So Emily can update you next week if she agrees that she's relieved that she doesn't have to worry about it. And that honestly wraps up my theory segment. I didn't want it to be too long because I didn't want to bore you to death with information. And quite honestly, I didn't want to spend that much time talking about these scientific studies about how the magma creates friction and causes it to explode. So, that will lead me into our absolutely not segment. As Emily and I typically share, we spend a lot of time trying to figure out our opinions about things, trying to figure out what conspiracies we believe, what conspiracies we don't believe. But there are a few things in our life that we can be absolutely sure of that we do not agree with. And that's where this absolutely not segment comes in. I'm just going to start right off the bat since there's no one else to be able to talk through this about with. So my first absolutely not is Emily being on vacation because that means I don't have someone to call after work. It also means I don't have people to share this information with directly. I have to create responses for her. And she doesn't even know I'm recording this right now. I'm just taking that over. So you're welcome, Emily. But next time, I think our vacation should be together because that's just more fun that way. I know it is your, mom's side, and it's great to spend time with your brother and your parents and your grandparents, but I feel like I should be an honorary member of the Vanderloops now, and they can just adopt me as another grandchild. So, thanks, Cliff and Jan. Anyway, my second absolutely not, just to kind of maybe make this a 15-minute episode, is just talking about how I love summer. Summer is my favorite season. As a teacher, it's just so nice to have a little bit of a break. I am still working, doing different things, but just being able to take the mental load of not teaching every day off sometimes is really nice. And my birthday's in the summer. Love that. But I do have to say, and I hate to complain because, when it was winter, I complained about how it was cold and how it was snowy. But I would say we never feel the type of humidity like we do feel in Wisconsin as in the summer. I am not typically someone that's ever like super hot. I run very cold blooded. I'm always shivering. I could wear a sweatshirt on an 80-degree day if there's a slight breeze. But if there is any amount of humidity in the air, I just sweat. And I sweat so much, and I hate that. So I'm just going to say humidity, especially in hot weather, is an absolutely not for me. Just don't think that's something that I love to deal with. And I know that people go to other states and it's drier outside, and they say the hot weather is better without it. I've never experienced, I don't think, super hot weather that's been dry. So maybe this is me realizing that I need to go on a vacation to like Arizona or something. That seems like a really great realization for me. So that kind of wraps up the episode today. Just nice, short, and sweet episode. If you like what you hear, definitely send me a message. Give me some feedback. I don't have anyone to get responses from right now. So I'd love to hear back from you guys at our Twitter at I don't think so _EH. And if you were really upset that Emily missed this week, you can just jump on board and let her know on Twitter. Say, why'd you have to leave Hannah hanging? And it's okay. I forgive her, but just know that I do miss my little partner in crime. Anyway, you'll have that to look forward to next week with both of us back together, better than ever. You'll get to hear with whatever conspiracy theory that Emily likes to present. Maybe she'll give some information about different things that she saw on her vacation. And we're looking forward to potentially having some special guests coming forward in the future. So definitely be on the lookout for that. We will see you all next week. Bye.